Hello, I'd like to help you guys get set up on your text adventure. So I'm going to give you like a bare bones version at high speed. Watch it multiple times if you need. So I'm going to start off in main. I'm going to do kind of like a almost a recursive approach to my programming. I'm going to start at the top level and then start building up other classes when I need them. So my first thing when I enter the game, I'm probably going to want to take text. So a good place to start might be to make a scanner. So I'm going to make a scanner available everywhere in my main class. So I'm going to do static scanner. By declaring it here, it's got global scope. And I love calling my scanners input. And then remember, public static void main is what actually runs when you hit the play button. That is the method that runs when you get started. So my very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize my scanner. And I'll leave it at that. One thing I might be interested in doing right now is building utility methods. Maybe I'll do one, for example, to take a character. So I'm going to create a little utility method using this public static char, because I'm getting a character, and I'll call it like get char, and I'm going to get it so it takes a string which just holds the allowed characters. Strings have a contains method, which makes it really easy to see if it's one of the allowed characters. So I'll just get it to do it. So I'll say let's get a char. Well, char c equals input dot next. I use next dot next line instead of next line to avoid buffer issues. If I always use dot next or dot next int or things like that, I should not have buffer issues as long as I'm not mixing in dot next line. So anyway, so here's another good one. I'll probably put them to uppercase, so I don't have to like handle both situations of upper and lowercase letters. And I'll just get the first character entered. This, I can make it even better if I did something like this. The issue here now is if they enter nothing, it'll still break. I'm going to leave it like this for now, and you can work on that. You might need to get the string, which can't break, and just check that its length is adequate before you do like char at. Or whatever, I could do that. I'm going to start C, which will be my character, as something that hopefully no one will want to enter. I'm going to assume nobody wants an add symbol, so I'm entering that, so hopefully that's not in allowed. So if string.length is greater than 0, then I can do that all that other junk. Then I can set C equal to the string dot to uppercase dot char at 0, and then once that's done, I can do while the string, or sorry, well, my allowed characters does not contain my character. Now, an easy way to convert a char to a string is to just add an empty string to it. So this is just a easy, dumb way to convert a character to a string. And I'm going to throw the not in front of it, so it's going, while it's not allowed, it'll keep making them do it again. And I'll have basically the same process. So I'll maybe tell them that that's not a loud character. And then I'll do this. Do all this again. It's a little ugly. I could encompass this in a method, and that might be better, but quick and dirty for the moment. So at this point, once we're here, we should be able to return our character, and all will be well. So now we've got something that we should not be able to break. The user will only be able to enter characters that are allowed, which should be good, make it hard for them to break our code. So now that we've got that, if we need a character later, that will be quite useful. So moving along, first thing I probably want to do in my code is have some sort of like intro title. So I'm just going to type in intro bracket bracket, and then if I hit Alt Enter or Option Return for you guys on Macs, it'll give me an option to create method intro and main. Now you could just do it. It's just a private static void method, and you can have all your welcome to the game text here. So I'm just going to say welcome to my game. I'm assuming you can do better than this. But sometimes it's good to package this stuff elsewhere, so your main method, you can see the flow better. No. It's occasionally annoying trying to find where your intro code is once you've got a million methods, but that is, you can always find it using Control F. All right, now at this point, I probably want to make a character. So I'm going to say, maybe enter your hero's name. And then I'm going to make a new character. So I will need to create a character class. Maybe I'll get my name. String name is, and so now I've got the name, but I'm going to need a character class. So that is the first one I'm going to make. Maybe I'll call it player, just so it doesn't get, there's a Java class called character, so it's easier not to have the same name. So I'm going to create a new class called player, and there we go, we're in player, and I think all players, they're going to need a name, they're going to need a strength value, they're going to need a, let's say, HP value for their health points, for those of you who don't play a lot of games, and they probably need like a max HP. And we'll leave it at that for now. A little boring. Though I kind of want my guy to have weapons and armor. So maybe I'll branch off from that for the moment, and I'll make still another class. So I'm going to make a new Java class. I'm going to call this weapon. It's traditional to name classes with a capital letter. I will cringe a little when looking at your code if it is not. Anyway, so I figure weapons, they're probably going to need a name too. So I'm going to name something cool like Mass Moon or Excalibur or like Wet Noodle, whatever. So we've got our weapon class, it's got a name. I should be making these private unless I've got a good reason not to. In fact, on the AP exam, if you do not make things private that could be private, you'll lose marks. So a weapon has like a, I don't know, quality. Let's say it's quality. And cost in the shop. So let's finish this off. I don't need any other classes to make a weapon. So every class should have a constructor. So I'm going to do public It should also have the name of the class. And then to set up my weapon, I need to initialize these fields and do nothing else. This is not a very fancy class, but it'll do what it needs to do. So I'm going to do like, it's going to take a string. I'm going to call it name. I'm going to give it the same name as the field. An int called quality, but I'm going to make it an int called C. Notice these two match the name of the fields, whereas this guy does not. So it'll change. I'll have to do these guys differently, then I can get away with this, just to deal with the ambiguity. Like the program needs to know if I'm talking about the field or the argument, which are two separate variables that should end up equaling the same thing. So if I'm setting up my name, I'm going to type in this dot name equals name. So by doing this dot in front of it, it's talking about the current object that is being made. This current object that's being made's name field is equal to the argument name. And then I'm going to do the same thing for quality. This dot quality, oops, with no space, equals quality. And then for this guy though, there's no ambiguity, so I can just say like cost equals C, and that's fine. Not a problem. I'm setting up my field. I don't need to do this thing because there is no confusion. So I've made my constructor. I can make weapon objects now. Later on, I might need to access the weapon's name or quality or its cost. So I'm going to get those going now. So I'll make some getters. Public string, because name is a string. Get name is how you traditionally name it. And I'll just return the field. And then I'm going to do like exactly the same thing for the others. So this one I'm returning an int, and I'm going to call this one get quality. It's even like auto-completing for me. And then I'll do the last one. Get cost. Return cost. I'm also going to throw a toString method. The @override is optional, but you'll go over it more when you hit the superclasses subclasses. You don't need it if you don't want. So a toString method is just anytime you'd use an object like a weapon as in a place where you'd use a string, it'll just be equal to its toString method. So in this case, I'm just going to return a string that says like the name of the object, name of the weapon, plus, I don't know, a dash, and then maybe a dash, and then it says like damage or something like that. And then it's quality modifier, and then maybe it'll say comma this time just to mix it up. And then cost is cost. And then if I were to just make a weapon, well, we go back to player now that we've got a half-decent weapon class. And player will have a weapon. Notice classes you make can have as fields other classes you make. I'm also going to want an armor class later, but I'll hold off for the moment. So I'm going to make a constructor for my player class. So remember, to make a constructor, you generally make them public, and then the name of the class, which has to match the file name, and then whatever info it needs to do its job. In this case, we're just going to be giving a string for the name, and maybe I'll say strength and HP or max HP are randomly generated. If you go to the strings arrays in the math class, if you look in the math class section, you can see how to generate a random number, which hopefully you've hit at this point. So I'm going to do the whole this dot name equals name, but then I'm going to randomly generate my strength. I'm going to say it's a random number between 10 and 20. So I'm going to say strength is equal to math.random cast to an int multiplied by 11, which is weird, but if I'm going from 10 to 20, that means I've got 11 different possibilities. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, plus the 10, so 11 different possibilities. So that will always be your number of possibilities. And then I want to shift it up by 10, because by default this will give me a random number between 0 and 10. So I just want to increase that by 10. And so now I've got a random number between 10 and 20. Beautiful. Let's say I want my max HP to be something similar, except I'm going to say my max HP should be between 20 and 40, let's say. Between 20 and 40, we have 21 different possibilities. So notice math.random times 21, 21 different possibilities. If I want to go between 20 and 40, this is currently so far giving me a random number between 0 and 20. So I just want to shift that up to 20. I want to start at 20, not 0. Done. I've got a random number between 20 and 40. And then my starting HP is just going to equal my max HP. And then I'm going to set my weapon to be your starting default weapon. So I'm going to say weapon is going to be set to a new weapon. And let's say it is the rusty knife. And it has garbage quality, and it has a cost of 0, because ain't nobody want that. Maybe a rusty kitchen knife, rusty butter knife. I like that even better. Rusty butter knife. Maybe the deadliest part of it is it'll give people tetanus. Anyway. So notice I did not type in quality here. I did not type in C colon here. This is just something IntelliJ is doing. All I did was this, the comma, the 3, the comma, and 0. So don't try typing this in. That'll just make things not work well. Okay, now I might do an armor class quick. It'll be almost exactly like the weapon class. So I'm going to go to new Java class and type in armor. And I'm going to say armor has a name. Again, I should make these private if I can, which I can. It will also have an int, which I will call protection. And keep in mind, you can add more to this. Like in other games, I've had it so I have an int for protection, so how much damage it absorbs, like removes from what the enemy would normally do. And I've got like an evade %, so some armors make you more likely to dodge and just not get hit entirely, and some just eat a lot of the damage you'd otherwise take. So you can get fancy. If you've got elements, you could add elemental protection. You can do all kinds of stuff. So this is bare bones, just add on to this. But it'll also need a cost. And then we'll need a constructor. Again, we write public, the name of the class, which should match the name of the file. And we're just going to set up those fields. So it's going to take a string. Actually, at this point, you guys are ready for my secret. If you have gotten this far into the code, you can just go to code, generate constructor. I want the constructor to take all of those. Bam, that's done. And those getters, I should make those getters too. So if you made it this far, secret again, code, generate, getter, and I want getters for all of them. Done. Armor class is done. And so I'm going to jump back to my player class and make some armor. Now I will also assign armor to my player. To do it, they are starting off their life in this game with a torn paper bag as their armor. And it will give them 1 protection and cost nothing. So they might want to upgrade shortly. Anyway, we got the basics of player for now. We're going to have to add methods later, but that is a good start for now. I'm going to end this video and start the next. Hopefully you've enjoyed this.